أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا عليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا عليكم لا مرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم قالوا طائركم معكم أن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة يردن الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة وأحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملت أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم. لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل السابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون. وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون. وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلهين. وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين. وإذا قيل لهم انفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أن نطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يقسمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون. ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميعا لدينا محضرون. فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون. إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم. وامتاز اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمون أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فعنا يبصرون. ولو نشاء لمسقناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون. وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وظللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب فلا يشكرون. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند مهضرون. فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين. وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. الله Surah Fatiha for Mir Abbas Ali ibn Mir Raza Ali.
صلوات بر محمد وآل محمد. الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فخذ عليك السلام. قال إني أجد في بدني زوفا فقلت له اذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغديني به. فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغديته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يطلع له كأنه بدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بهذا الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك راهية طيبة كأنها راية جدي رسول الله. فغضنا من جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب أوزي قد أنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على. فما كانت إلا ساعة ويزاب لدى الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فخذوا عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك راهية طيبة كأن راية جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله تحسن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي. صلاة بيت الموضوع الموت. الله علي. اللهم صل على. قال السلام عليك يا جدا السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله تأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافي أمتي قد أنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فخذوا عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك راهية طيبة كان راية أخي وابن أمي رسول الله. فخذ نامها ومع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتعذرون لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسيم وخليفتي وصاحب لواء، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى. ثم أتحت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بذتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء، فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء قضى بي رسول الله بطرفي الكساء ويضمنا إلى السماء، وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحمتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويأذنوني ما يأذنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن أعداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، واذهب عنهم الرجس وتحرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمس مضية ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا رب ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل يا رب تأذنوا لي أن أحبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي لا يغرق السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمس مضية ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد لي أن أدخل معكم فانتظروا لي يا رسول الله. فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء. فقال لي بأن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم رجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي رضي الله يا رسول الله أخبرني ما نجوس هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل إن الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبي والصفاني بالرسالة نجية، ما ذكر من هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة ووافت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم لا يتفرقوا. فقال علي نزل الله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي الثانية يا علي والذي بثني بالحق النبي واستفاني بالرسالة نجية، ما أذكر من هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم محموم الله وفرج الله حمه ولا مخموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب من حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي نزل الله فزنا وسودنا وغزانا غشيتنا فازوا سودوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آپ لوگ سب سے التماس ایک سورہ فاتحہ 3 دفعہ سورہ اخلاص پڑھ کے مرحوم عباس علی ابن میر عباس علی ابن میر رضا علی کے لیے سارے ثواب کریں. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم.
صلوات اللہ محمد و آل محمد. فدا ہوں اس پاک سلامی ہے جس کا نام حسین میرا موئی میرا آقا میرا میرا موئی میرا آقا میرا امام صبا کو بھیج کے روزے پہ کر رہا ہوں دعا کرے قبول الہی میرا کرے قبول الہی میرا سلام جو کربلا کی زمین پر ہوا تھا ان کا ورود تو پھر کے دیکھتے تھے قبر کا تو پھر کے دیکھتے تھے قبر کا مقام میں اپنے دل کو بہت پاک و صاف رکھتا ہوں کہ شاید اس میں کسی دن کرے کہ شاید اس میں کسی دن کرے قیام نہ پوچھو وقت وہ کیسا تھا جب مدینے سے چلے ہر ایک کا لیتے ہوئے چلے ہر ایک کا لیتے ہوئے سلام پناہ لیتے تھے دشمن اجل کے دامن میں جو وار کرتے تھے لے کر علی کا جو وار کرتے تھے لے کر علی کا نام سنا نہائے کسی سنگ دل نے لاکھ کہا رسول کا ہوں نواسا ہے میرا نا رسول کا ہوں نواسا ہے میرا نام حسین فدا اس پر. مومن آپ لوگوں سے ایک درخواست ہے سورہ فاتحہ کی. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم الحمد للہ رب العالمین الرحمن الرحیم مالک یوم الدین صلوات علی محمد و آل محمد. جب خاتمہ بخیر ہوا فوج شاہ کا، کوثر پا قافلہ گیا پیاسی سپاہ کا، گھر لٹ گیا جناب رسالت پناہ کا، خاک اڑتحال یہ تھا بارگاہ، بھائی تھے نے رفیق نا وہ نور عین تھے، دو بہنیں رونے والے تھے اور ایک، دو بہنیں رونے والے تھے اور ایک حسین. فرماتے تھے کہ واہ یہ تاخیر اجل، اکبر کے بعد کون سا تھا عزیز کا محل، اب مجھ کو ایک برس کے برابر ہے ایک پل، موت آئے اب یہ ہے شجر زندگی کا، ایک جا چھری گلوں پجو چلتی تو خوب تھا، یہ جان ان کے ساتھ نکل، یہ جان ان کے ساتھ نکلتی تو خوب. ہم سب کے بعد خلق سے جانے کو رہ گئے، سر پیٹنے کو اشک بہانے کو رہ گئے، اس نوجوان کا داغ اٹھانے کو رہ گئے، پیری میں ٹھوکرے کھانے کو رہ گئے. بیٹا کہاں خبر جو دم انتقال لے، اتنا کوئی کے گرو تو، اتنا نہیں کوئی کے گرو تو سنبھال. ناگاہ سوئے لاشیں پسر جا پڑی نظر، چلائے دل کو تھام کے سلطان بیروبار، سوتے ہو کیا دھرے ہوئے رخسار خاک پر، اکبر ٹھوکے گھوڑے سے گرتا ہے، بھولے پدر کو نیند میں قربان آپ کے، آؤ نماز عصر پڑھو ساتھ، آؤ نماز عصر پڑھو ساتھ بار. عباس نامدار ترائی سے اٹھ کے آؤ، پھکتا ہے قلب جل رہے ہیں سب جگر کے گھاؤ، چھڑکو میری زرہ پجو پانی کہیں سے پاؤ، چلتے اے آدم کے مسافر سے ملتے، غفلت کی تم کو نیند ہے، شبیر کیا کرے میری کسی کو نہ بے کس خدا، میری طرح کسی کو نہ بے کس خدا. گرتے ہیں آپ کون سنبھالے کوئی نہیں، سینے سے کون تیر نکالے کوئی نہیں، سب مر چکے چاہنے والے، سب مر چکے ہیں چاہنے والے، بیجا پڑے ہیں گود کے پالے کوئی، بے کس ہیں آپ زور سپاہ عدو کا ہے، منہ جس کا دیکھتے ہیں وہ پیاسا لو، منہ جس کا دیکھتے ہیں وہ پیاسا فضان جان کے خیمے میں بیووں کو دی خبر، ہے میرے خزادے کا کٹتا ہے تن سے سر، بستر سے اٹھ کے گر پڑے سجادے ناگر، خیمے سے بی بی بچوں کو چھوڑ، ہلتا تھا عرش حضرت زینب کے بین سے، گر گر کے دوڑتی کہ میلو، گر گر کے دوڑتی تھی کہ میلو سے، چلاتی تھی ارے میرا بھائی ہے کس طرح، لوٹی ہوئی علی کی کمائی ہے کس طرح، دریا کدھر ہے خوں کا ترائی ہے کس طرح، سونے کی حسین نے پائی رستہ دے اے زمیں کے فلک کی ستائی ہوں، میں پیارے بھائی سے میل، میں اپنے پیارے بھائی سے میل، شہ کے کراہنے کی جو آنے لگی صدا، دوڑی ادھر نبی کی نواسی برہ نہ پا، دیکھ بہن کٹتے ہوئے بھائی، دیکھا بہن کٹتے ہوئے، آنکھوں پہ ہاتھ رکھ کے گری بنت مرتضی، غم سے کلیجہ پھٹ گیا زہرا کی جائی کا، تو دیکھا نیزے پسار، اٹھی تو دیکھا نیزے پسار بھائی کا،
اللہم صلوات. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I want to present you few words so that the marhum can get more sawab and encouragement for the youth. That encouragement is very important these days. Yeah. Brother Ishaq was one of the one of the family of very much famous in Hyderabad. And when I introduce you, some of his family members, you will also recognize their position. His father was also a very famous person, and his uncle. Hyderabad, or our Shiaism, was in very tough situation that Congress or Hindu wanted to capture one way, and the Europe, UK does not wanted to leave that country, because Hyderabad was really not a state, but it was a country and had a many rich situation, very rich money in there. So everybody wanted to capture that. But the people like family of Ishaq Saab and family of brother Jafar and some other people saved that. What happened that when Hyderabad was in tough situation, brother Ishaq's uncle, he was Mahdi Ali Saab, he was so famous person or poet that the king made him a minister. And that minister and my grandfather, Abbas Saab, and other people were sent to rich countries to save Hyderabad. For example, to Saudi Arabia, Iran, and all those countries. But unfortunately, we had to lose Hyderabad. When Hyderabad was not in possession of the self-country, but in capture, so they're famous and important places, like I remember Imam Raza's shrine. It was on a very big, huge mountain, and there was no light, no water, but the Shia wanted to save it. And therefore, what happened, that made Jafar's uncle, Muhammad Ali Zaidi Saab, started looking after that. And people like Ishaq's uncle, Ishaq's father, and Ishaq's other relatives, they saved him, and they saved that place one by one. And I remember that government of India sent the representative, Dr. J.N. Chaudhary. And J.N. Chaudhary allotted, he was so much impressed that he allotted a lot of land for that shrine. I hope that somebody is looking after that now very insistently. And secondly, that his family, brother Ishaq's cousin, Rashid Shaidi, and his father, Sayyid Shaidi. Sayyid Shaidi, as you know, that you might have heard his name in Marsiya and in Salam and all that really good poems about Imam Hussain Sahib, Noha, Marsiya, all those what we learn now, read from Urdu. One of them family was this one. So my real message is for youth that don't think that you are nothing. Everyone has many good things in him, what you have done. So do something about Islam. Save something for the community, and Bibi Janab Sayyada will give you a word for it. And salawat.
Sant. Thank you, Tarankel, for that very nice speech and introducing the family of Brother Abbas Ali and their contributions in Hyderabad. Without further ado, we'll invite Brother Noshir up, who's the eldest son of Mir Abbas Ali, And with the loudest of salawat, if we can ask for you to say salawat and Surah Fatiha for the
I never thought I'd be here today, and those of you that know my dad know him very well, and those of you who don't know my dad, I can tell you he was very charismatic, had a big heart, very loving, and he was the life of the party, you know? And 87 years. That's how old he was. And it was funny how in our family we don't give our ages out. And that is, I think I understand that. My dad was like that, I'm like that. And so I think it's the child in him. He always had that childish part in him. So, and I'm like that too, because people look at you and say, you know, you're that old, why don't you act old? But he had a spirit about him, a big spirit about him that he, that positive energy and that childlike behavior, you know, that kids have, and we sort of lose it as we grow older, you know, and we get responsibilities, right? I had written something last night, and it just came to me, so I thought I'd share it maybe with you. And I said, Dad, I'm here. I'm not leaving you. This is when he was breathing for his life. You are my hero, and I love you so much. Be strong like you've always been. Stay alive and stay a while. So much more of life to see and enjoy. We shall dance again to the music of life. Life in its dance making us sing, and then we open our hearts to the melody that is truly life worth living. With all the excitement that today brings, and we wish to all our tomorrows, beckoning us to relive today again, but yet different between the sunrise and the sunsets, do we change in ourselves. The moment that is fleeting and never lasting, to remain in our memories of our lives, to reflect upon and feel once again my love for you, to my dearest dad. And I'm sure my brother Razali feels the same with my sister Miriam. Mir Abbas Ali, thank you all for coming.
Recite Surah Fatiha, our brother Mir Abbas Ali ibn Razali. And that would like to call.
I'll lead them for the 6 or 7 steps. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد يا عالي. Jazakallah. If anybody is not tired, there is room in the center as well. If anybody wouldn't mind, we'll have a bit of a gathering atmosphere. Jazakumullah khair. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Can we please have a Surah Al-Fatiha for Mir Abbas Ali ibn Mir Razali? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي مبدع الأنوار ثم مؤلج الليل في النهار العزة لله الملك الجبار الواحد الأحد الصمد القهار والصلاة والسلام على آل الله الأبرار الأحمد المختار محمد وأهل بيته الأطهار الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين أما بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Dearest mu'mineen, mu'minat, and all attendees, we are gathered today to commemorate the passing of a great personality, as I have gauged from the couple of speeches that I have heard, and somebody who obviously has a great impact upon the family and the community. When people, people leave us, and when they go, then their memories, their actions, their various landmarks that they laid down in the foundation of the coming generations are still apparent and very, very well marked, and they are things that we never forget. And when it comes to this temporary abode, we see that this world is nothing but an examination hall, and we as believers, knowing the day of judgment comes, and this examination hall before us is very different from the examination halls that we might experience in a school or an educational system where there's four walls and tables and desks, and there's stress, and there's invigilators, and there's questions and answers, and maybe we will find a time when there comes our questions and answers as well. But right now, with all of the lights and the brightness and all that is around us, we tend to get distracted and sometimes forget the basic purpose of why we are over here, and the purpose is to give an exam. And from our first breath to our last breath, every breath is a test for us. And during that testing process, what happens is we lose people. We love and then we lose, and that loss is also part of the testing process. It is part of the testing process to see how close we are to our Creator. And He gives us parents that shelter us, to give us love and mercy. But it is through the parents that we come to understand Him. It is through a father is the only one who wants to see you do better than himself. A father is the only one who wants you to succeed in a way that no one else in the world will ever want you to succeed. And that unique quality is bestowed upon a father by Allah at the time of the birth of his children. It is not in you before your children are born, but the moment that your children come into being, because we tend to think that we are not ready. How do I get ready to be a parent? Which father has ever felt ready to be a parent? You don't feel ready. But something happens at that moment when that child comes into your arms and you look at them for the first time. And at that time, Allah inspires you with love. He inspires you with the willingness to sacrifice everything so that these children will have a roof over their shoulders, clothes on their back, a respectful life, food in their stomach, an education. And all of this a father does, and they never ever for a moment think about anything that they have sacrificed. A mother, Allah puts His mercy into a mother, the raham in a mother. Raham is mercy. The womb of a mother in Arabic is called Rahim, and Rahim means also the place of mercy, and this is where Allah creates life. And when He creates life, a woman does not have that mercy for a child until Allah puts it into her at the time that that child is born. It is a most miraculous moment to go through so many pangs and yet to go through the delivery and all the process of it. That magical moment when you have a mother holding a child and she's looking upon him, forgetting the last 12 hours of labor and the last 9 months of difficulty, and there is nothing that is more happier for her at that moment. She forgets everything. To forget all of your bodily comfort and to put all of your happiness into the existence of another being. This kind of sacrifice and this mercy is something that Allah bestows upon the mother, and by looking at that mercy, we come to understand Him. So when we come to understand Him, He consoles us. He comforts us. He says, Allahu yatawaffal anfusa hina mautiha. It is Allah who comes to you at the time of your death. And when Allah comes to you at the time of your death, He is the one who is taking you. And of course we know that there is a manifestation of that. It is Israel. Hazrat Israel is Malakul Maut. He is called the angel of death, and he is the one acting it. But Allah is saying that I am the one who sent this one. This one is my ambassador. That means he is coming from me. That means if he comes to take you, it is like me coming to take you, and I'm coming you to take you back to me. That means ilayhi raji'un. We are to return back to our essence. We come into this life for but a brief moment, and it is said in the narrations that this life is like living upon a bridge that will collapse at any moment. And we may be building our houses upon that collapsing bridge, but we know that we were never meant for this place. And when we look at the words life and death, and they encompass us, they surround us, they are pegs in our existence, in our destinies. They begin us and they end us, and we think that they are very powerful. And we think that this power that life and death have over us causes us to live our lives in a certain way. But it says, Alladhi khalaqa al-mawta wal-hayata. In Surah Mulk, He is the one who created life and death. Life and death are but creations. As He created us, He made these creations as well. So life and death are, we see they are somewhere in the hierarchy of existence, but there are things that are higher than life. There are things that are higher than death. There are things that are more powerful than that. And this life and death forces us, or allows us, enables us to be able to look beyond what is beyond life and what is beyond death in terms of power. And how do you define it? And how do you decide what is living and what is dead? Who are you going to ask for this definition? Which dictionary will you go to? Will you go to a biologist? The biologist will tell you that life is that which uses nutrients, produces waste, divides, multiplies, reproduces, is organized into systems, uses energy, depletes energy. This is life. Growth is required. Biology could not decide if a virus was life for decades. They argued about it because according to their definition, it's not fitting the definition of life. But will you ask a biologist what is life, or will you ask the Creator what is life? If you ask a biologist what is life, then you're going to have to go to a doctor. And no disrespect, we all go to doctors and see them to help us and guide us along the way. So definitely we need them. However, a doctor will tell you, or a biologist will tell you, that if your brain has electrical activity, this is life. If your heart has a beat, it is life. If your respiratory system is pumping air in and out, it is life. If your cells are undergoing chemical reactions, it is life. But when you look at all of these things and these activities that we are calling life, and biology defines it life, what you see is that they are all based upon organs that are made of tissues, that are made of cells that have chemicals, and those chemicals react with each other. That means life is when, for example, a protein breaks into amino acids. Life is when glucose's energy is transferred to a biomolecule called ATP. Life is when that ATP molecule releases energy and you have contraction of your muscles. Is this life? Is this truly life? And when he said, Alladhi khalaqal mawta wal hayata, is this what he meant? Did he mean the soup of chemical reactions? This is what happened when we saw that science started to take, a majority of science started to take an atheistic route, and they started to fight against the possibility of the existence of a creator. And when this happened, they said that life is just these chemicals. For them, yes. For them who have a God, though they do deny his existence, but I would claim that they do have a God. And that God is called random. The randomness, it is an amazing God, because you're telling me that randomly atoms came together to make an amino acid. You needed about 20 atoms to come together. They've never come together under our observation, but somehow this happened. So how did this happen? So you said, well, it took 1,000,000 years. If it happened over 1,000,000 years and they came together and randomness brought them together and caused them to exist, then that is random. That means that random is an amazing thing, because random causes letters to come together and make a book. Random causes words to come together and make sense. Random causes chemicals to come together and make life and purpose and perfection and everything that we see around us. So therefore, whether the God is random or whether the God is deliberate, there is a force. There is something that is causing a central organization of everything we see around us. And if this is the case, if this is what's happening, then the question is, what is life according to the Creator? And what states did you go through when you said that I am alive? You say you are alive, you claim you are alive. When we put one of our loved ones into the grave, they are not speaking to us and they are not saying they are alive. So we decided that we are alive. We decided that we have laid someone down in the grave. They are no longer living. However, we are living. But you ask Allah, what is life? And you know, when you look at your existence, for example, when were you born? You know, when we say born, there is a birth involved. When birth is involved, there's a womb involved. When there's a womb involved, then we know that you came into being on a certain date in a certain hospital or a room or somewhere on the planet. But did you exist before that? In other words, when were you actually created? And when the verse says, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَىٰ شَهِدْنَا أَن تَقُولُوا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّ كُنَّا عَنْ هَذَا غَافِلِينَ. Surah Arab, verse number 172. It is saying that, and when He created you, and He took you from the loins of Adam, you were in the loins of Adam. You were alive. You were alive enough for Him to take you out, put you out into space, and then He said, Alastu bi rabbikum, am I not your Lord? You heard Him. You heard Him. You must have been living. Hearing is evidence of life. And then you said, Qalu bala. You gave a speech. You said, yes, indeed. I testify that you are my Lord. You spoke. Were you not alive? You do not remember right now, because the test is that you must have curtains over that memory to allow this test to occur. But the Quran is hinting that this did happen. If we believe the Quran to be the true word of God, therefore we were living at that time. We were put back into the loins of Hazrat Adam, your forefather, the first human being in our lineage, and at that time we came to the earth. We were in the loins of Adam. So were you alive when you were taken out and you spoke to God Himself and He spoke to you? You were alive. Were you alive in the loins of Adam or not? Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Ya Allah. He says in Dua Arafah that, praise be to you, O Allah, who put me in pure loins and the purest of wombs, generation after generation, until I reach this point. Meaning, and he opened up a whole universe for me with these two lines. Because what he made me realize was that for you to be born in this world, you had to enter into the womb of your mother. To enter into the womb of your mother, you had to be in the loins of your father. To be in the loins of your father, you had to be in the loins, in the womb of his mother. To be in the womb of his mother, you had to be in the loins of his father, and you had to be in the loins of the father before him, meaning that each generation, you as a human being in the loins of Hazrat Adam were transferred from mother to man to mother to father, from mother to father, generation after generation. If this took 7,000 to 10,000 years, you can calculate the generations yourselves. You have AI and ChatGPT at your disposal. Just keep in mind that it is artificial intelligence. It is not real intelligence. Artificial intelligence means information. It is great at gathering and assimilating information. It is not aql. Aql is something else. And this was what the Imam said about aql. Al-aqlu, al-ilmu laysa tu'allam. It is not ilm. Al-ilmu laysa ta'allum. Ilm is not that which you gain from books. Ilm is a light which Allah puts into your heart if He wants to guide you. That means that light is knowledge. The difference between you and ChatGPT is that you have that light in your heart and ChatGPT doesn't have a heart. Because a qalb is a metaphysical organ, and the idea of existence, the idea of consciousness, the idea of life, this is what happened when you came to the false conclusion that everything can randomly occur. You decided that if I can be intelligent through randomness, then can I not deliberately create intelligence? The problem was that you mistook yourself. If you knew yourself, you would understand your creation. But if you do not understand yourself, how are you going to understand your creation? Man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu. He gave you the ability to know through yourself Him. But if you ignored him, then you cannot understand yourself. You cannot even understand a little bit of computer programming. What are its limitations? What are its truths? And what is it in actual reality? So therefore, a father has many children. 10, 15, 20. Back in the day, that was normal. Most of them didn't survive till marriage. Some of them got married. That means you were not in the loins of anybody who died. That means anybody who died in any generation from Hazrat Adam's generation till 2025. Can you count the generations? Can you count how many people have died? You were not amongst any of them. Your forefathers were on the Safinatun Nuh, on Noah's Ark. You had to be on there, otherwise you wouldn't be alive today. You were on Noah's Ark. I don't know if you were in Nuh or if you were one of his companions, but you were there. And that means when Ali was guiding that ship and Maula Ali saved it from the Tufan in Nuh, maybe you witnessed it. Did you have existence at that time? Were you alive at that time or not? That is the question. It is said, and we Shias believe, that when in the land of Karbala on 61 Hijri, we hear someone saying, Hal min nasin yansuruna. You said, Labbaika ya Hussein, Labbaika ya Hussein. And the more times you said Labbaika, they say the more times you will go for ziyarat of Imam Hussein. For you to hear Imam Hussein and to say Labbaika, it means you were alive. I am claiming that you were alive when you were Azar and Allah spoke to you. You were alive in the loins of your forefathers when Imam Hussein spoke to you. You were alive when you transferred into the womb. But what happens is with each stage going from one state of life to another state of life, from one existence to another, from one realm to another, from one dimension to another. This is called intiqal. Intiqal is basically a journey where you go from one existence to the next. He is the one who created maut wal hayat, and he created death first, then he created life. He is always, that has been his basic principle. You will see that he creates, for example, the sickness first, then the health. He creates poverty first, then richness. He creates Iblis, allows him to take on his full form of Satanhood, and then he creates Adam, the one who will be basically the one who Iblis will be the enemy for. So he created the enemy first, then the Hujjat of Khuda. He created the one who will misguide you, allowed him to do what he wants, then he created the one who will guide you. That is his confidence in you. He keeps one Hujjat on the earth at one time, and there's thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of misguiders and those who will take you away. So in this entire existence of ours, where we go through so many states, we finally come into this world. When we come into this world, okay, now biology says, oh, this child is alive, and they can't even decide. We know it's a debate. We know that when it comes to the whole pro-life and anti-life and the abortionists and this and that, the debate still continues. This is what till today they debate about. When is that child alive? That child is viable and alive after birth or before birth. If it's before birth, is it in the third trimester or second trimester or first trimester? If it's in the first trimester, is it at the time when the egg and sperm cells fuse and it becomes a zygote? Is it at that time when it becomes 64 cells? Is it that time 128 cells? Is it that time when it becomes 3 layers, when it gains 11 systems, when at 8 weeks it is the size of what we're calling an embryo now? We don't even call it a human yet. We call it an embryo. And then what happens after that? Then we call it something else and something else. We go through so many names. When is it alive? When were you alive? Were the mountains alive when the Quran says that Allah gave them the oath? Would you bear this burden? And the mountains said, no, it is too heavy for us, but man came forward to bear the burden. Allah is giving equal life to humans and mountains. Equal life to humans and stones. That means that what he puts in the form of life is consciousness, the ability to focus, attention, think, believe, accept, reject, kufr, iman, nifaq, shukr, hamd, salat. These are your abilities which he is putting in life. The birds pray to Allah, the mountains pray to Allah, the sun prays to Allah. That hydrogen helium bomb you have floating in space that gives you a morning every day, that wakes you up and makes you go to work. That one, yes, that one is alive according to Allah. So in this day and age, what do we call life and what do we call death really? You know, Abu Basir is sitting before the Imam, and none other than the holy Imam, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq as-Salatu was-Salamu alayhi. Ya Ali. I'm grateful for your attentions, and it's been 20 minutes. This may be another 20 more. I will not take too much time. It's a weekday, and so we'll end in 25 minutes maximum. But this hadith is definitely something that I have read and recited many times, and for me it's what you would call a game changer. It's a perspective changer, because in life what happens is there's many revolutions, and the more revolutions you have in your life, the more you evolve spiritually, and revolutions are available to you every day to evolve. And how do you know you evolve? You will know you have evolved by seeing a change in your perspective. When your perspective changes, perspective is something that people are locked in, and they cannot realize sometimes that another person might have a different perspective from you. They might be seeing the world in a very different way. What is external and what is internal is very different. We do not see the world as what is external. We are seeing what is in here, and I have no idea what you are seeing compared to what I am seeing. We could be seeing completely two different realms. That means somebody saw Ali, and they saw somebody who was like a mere mortal and looked just like them, and somebody who they could push to the side and do what they want, and someone else saw Ali and they saw a wali of Allah. They saw a wise man, they saw an eloquent man, they saw courage, they saw valor, they saw faith, they saw knowledge, they saw wisdom, they saw guidance, they saw nur, they saw light. So therefore, you know, we are looking at the world, we're looking at the world in different perspectives, and my perspective on life and death changed after this hadith. And Abu Basir is sitting before the Imam, and he's in deep thought. He's in deep thought, and as he's in deep thought, the Imam looks at him and says, "Oh Abu Basir, what do you know about death?" And, you know, to me that hints that Abu Basir was thinking about his own death at that time. So then the Imam asked him, "What do you think about death?" And he said, "Maula, you tell me, what should I think about death?" He says, "What is death?" And he says, "What is death, Master? Tell me." He says, "Abu Basir, do you know that when you came into the world," so Maula starts explaining life, he says, "Do you know when you came into the world, you were crying?" And he says, "Allahu Akbar, like, I don't remember. Do you remember you were crying?" "I don't remember." Abu Basir, I'm sure, doesn't remember either. He says, "Master, I don't remember, but if I was crying, then I'm sure I was." And he says, "Do you know why you were crying?" Abu Basir says, "No, Master, I don't know why I was crying." He says, "You were crying." Now, we know that crying is the first sign of life. We know that it is that first cry that expands lungs that have been collapsed for the 9 months of the life of the womb. And so now they're going to open up, and it's an incredible moment. As an adult, you know, Dr. Saab will tell you, as an adult, if a lung collapses, you can't open it up. Like, try opening up a collapsed lung. Like, tell the doctor, "No, thank you, don't puncture my ribs. I'm going to open up my own lung, and I'm just going to give it a big inhale, and I can open it up. I can inflate car tires. Don't worry about me." It's not going to happen. Why is it not going to happen? Because we can't open it up. But what happens at the first breath of life is this incredible moment. That is the miracle of Allah, that you can take that first breath of life and open up these lungs that were collapsed. You'll never be able to open them up again. And when you open them up, you cry. And when you cry, your mother's happy. It's a magical moment. It's the only moment I see when a mother is actually happy at the crying of her child. Otherwise, after that, a mother is never, ever happy. She's very upset. Any moment her child is crying, she cannot sit still when her child cries. But that first cry brings a smile to the mother's face. So we know that crying is a sign of life. That is why we, the Shias of, you know, Imam Ali, and we, the Azadar of Imam Hussain, we consider our grief to be life. It is a sign of life. We consider it to be the first sign of hayat. This is nature, this is biology, this is how Allah created the universe. And then the Imam says that you cried because you came into an unknown world. That means that before this, you knew the womb of your mother, and your consciousness was developed, and you were listening to your mother's heartbeat, feeling the warmth of the womb, getting nutrients magically without ever having to chew food or make an effort, going to the bathroom automatically, breathing automatically. It was a good life. That umbilical cord saved you from a lot of trouble. If we still had it right now, it'd just be like great, because you wouldn't have to breathe or eat, go to the bathroom. For some people nowadays, that's a problem, right? Who's going to waste time doing that? And so that umbilical cord, amazing. But then what happens is the Imam says that when you come into the world, you are coming into a new world. You don't know anything. It's blank. So you cry. And when you cry, that opens up your lungs and you start to live. And do you know, then he says something amazing. He says, Abu Basir, you were crying, but your parents welcomed you with open arms, and they were distributing sweets. They were distributing sweets, and they were having happiness while you were crying. Do you know why they were happy while you were crying? Why were they happy while I was crying? They were happy because they knew that the world and realm you have come into now is much better than the realm that you were coming from. Much better than that one. That means that, yeah, maybe we might think that the womb was better. This life is hard. But in this life, you grow, you learn, you expand, you get stronger, you gain abilities, you do so much more. In that womb, you were just sitting in it was like a little grave. In a way, it was a grave. And I'm not saying that because I'm being morbid. I'm saying that because the Imam is comparing it to a grave. I do not consider the grave to be a morbid place. For me, the grave is a womb. Because the Imam says that when you come into this world, you grow. But then what happens is you leave this world. And when you leave this world, then there may be people who are crying for you as you're leaving this world. And maybe you will have tears because you're leaving them. But do you know, O Basir, that when you're leaving this world and you're going to the next, you may be sad. But there will be people before you who are aware of where you are coming, and they know you are coming to a much better place, so they will be accepting you with open arms. Your forefathers who passed before you, they will be there. उस वक्त वहाँ मिठाइयाँ बट रही होंगी. इस दुनिया में आए तो मिठाइयाँ बट रही थी, वहाँ जाएंगे तब भी यही होगा. And he says the reason is that people don't know what they are going to, just like they didn't know where they were coming to when they came into this world. And then he says, Abu Basir, do you know that the difference between this world and the womb is what? Can you calculate that area-wise? Very simple. You guys can probably do it. Don't do it right now, though, but you can probably do it later. Just calculate the surface area of the world, calculate the surface area of a human uterus, and then divide them, and you'll get a ratio. And whatever ratio you get, I don't know, but you're going to get a big number. And when you get that number, whether it's 1 to 1,000,000 or 1 to 100,000, then Imam says that the next realm compared to this one is 70,000 times bigger. Like you sitting in the womb of your mother had no idea where you were coming, you have no idea where you're going. Like it could not be explained to you in the womb of your mother, even if they had explained it to you. Like next time you know somebody is having a baby, go up to the womb. Maybe if you're going to have a baby, then you go up to the womb and start talking to it. We do that sometimes. How are you doing? Explain everything. Say, you know what, I'm going to give you a head start, son or daughter. First, I'm going to teach you the alphabet, alif, be, te, tha, ja, and then I'm going to teach you A, B, C. Today we're going to have a science lecture. 9 months, you could probably teach them a language and a couple of subjects, A, B, C, D as well. Get them ready for this world. See how much is processed. Although a child does process information at that time, to actually give them an idea of what to expect in this world, come on, when we're in kindergarten, we don't know what to expect in middle school. And middle school, we have no idea what's going to hit us in high school. Have you seen someone who's about to get married? They have no idea what they're getting into. Those who do, they're like looking at them and smiling like, yes, this one's now, right? We don't know. How are we going to know about the next world? Then the Imam says 2 amazing conclusive statements. He says that, oh, Abu Basir, what people think of as life is actually death, and what they think of as death is actually life. And he says, oh, Abu Basir, when a person closes his eyes, that is when life begins. That is when life begins. So you see, what happens is our definition of life is that we're eating food. We're having some biryani and some burgers, and we're having chemical reactions, and we're walking around doing our thing. But we have no idea what's happening over there. There's a curtain before us. And it is said that at the time when a moment is about to leave, the moment is given a choice. The moment is given a choice. Allahu yatawaffal anfusa hina mawtiha. Allah comes to you at the time of your death. That is represented by the hujjat of Allah. In Al-Kafi, Imam Sadiq has a riwayat in Bab-ul-Hawaij in which he says that at the time when a believer is going, then the holiest messenger comes, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma sallallahu alayhi. Ya Ali. And Amirul Mu'mineen comes, as-salatu was-salamu alayhi, and when they come, then Israel comes, and the holiest messenger says to Imam Ali, says, oh Ali, tell Israel that this was one who believed in us, and he was a lover of the Ahlul Bayt, and he believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was a Muslim and a mu'min. Let them know. And Hazrat Ali calls Hazrat Israel over, and Imam Ali says to him, Maulana says to Israel, he says that you should know that he is one of ours. And at that time, Israel comes up to the mu'min. And it is said that both at the head of the mu'min, on the right and left, you will see that the holiest messenger and Amirul Mu'mineen will come. And they will talk to that mu'min, and they will say that, listen, we've come to take you. These are exact words I'm translating from the hadith. We have come to take you. But it is up to you, because you can see that your loved ones are missing you and they're already crying for you. It is up to you if you wish to go back to them. We will let you go back to them. The moment at that time looks at the holiest messenger and Imam Ali and says that, and we can see that. Do you not see it when ours are passing away? Do you not notice that they look in a certain direction? They have a certain look on their face. Are ours not getting ready? You know, it's only after our loved one passes away that we look back and we realize that they knew this was going to happen. They were preparing. They were preparing us with now their sentences start to make sense. You know, oh, now I understand why she called me at that day when she never calls me. Because she wanted to talk, because 2 days later she knew she was going to go. Now I know why they called that person to come and visit. Now I know why they took care of this. They start getting ready. It is said that it is so, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful that He causes a mu'min or mu'minah when they're about to leave, He releases 2 fragrances, it is said. And one fragrance causes you to start forgetting the world. You start losing interest in the world. You'll see that when they're about to go, they start losing interest in the world. And another fragrance causes you to have attraction to the afterlife. They start wanting that afterlife. And then what happens is their life is actually now going to begin. For a moment, life begins when we see the Holy Messenger. For a moment, life begins when we see Maula Ali, when we see the Masumeen. And that is what the moment says to them. He says, Maula, I've seen you now, and I've been waiting to see you my whole life. And I don't want to go back now. Now that I've seen you, please take me with you. I know they are sad for me. I know they are sad, but they will join us soon. I know everyone will eventually come. And that is when they go. And it is said that when their funeral procession is happening, there's a weird comparison in the hadith, and it says, like a bride is taken to her home, the mu'min or mu'minah is taken to the grave. And what I know with a bride is there's a lot of love and care and respect that is used. And then with that love and care and respect it is taken, the angel of death looks at the mu'min and says that you should know that I will be more merciful with you than your mother was when I capture your soul. And it is said when that moment is put into the grave, then the earth speaks to that moment. And the grave says to that moment that I was proud of the fact that you tread upon me with your feet, because you were a believer in Allah and the Ahlul Bayt. You were a believer in the Vilayah of the Masumeen. So therefore, it was with pride that I had you walk upon me, and now I will expand your grave for you. And it said windows open up, and they are shown their maqam in Jannah from their grave, they see it. People are worried nowadays, what are you going to do in the grave? Well, that's one thing for you to do. You might not have Wi-Fi, but there's a lot to do. It is said that a mu'min leaves their grave at least once a week. But depending upon their status, they may be leaving all the time. Maula says sometimes a mu'min, they do not spend their time in their grave. What do? Maula? They said sometimes they come to us and they have food with us in Jannah. They said they come to you in Jannah from the grave? He says yes, they come to us in Jannah. And then what do? We sit and eat, and then we talk. He says, Master, what do you talk about? He says, what else would we talk about? We talk about the zuhur. We talk about the zuhur of the qaim. We talk about preparations. We get ready for it. And so we know those duties are happening. They are around us. And we might not see them. We might not think they're alive, but they're far more alive than us. And where they are, they're probably looking at us with more pity, because we still have to reach that stage. You know, this life is but a prison. If the curtains were lifted, none of us would want to live here. It's the fact that the curtains remain that we actually still want to be here. Otherwise, no one would want this existence. Your souls would burst out of your bodies, the hadith says, like you would free yourself from a prison. Isma' ifham. We hold the shoulders of one who is gone. Isma' ifham. Listen, understand. Only living can listen and understand. We are saying that this one is not dead. Isma' ifham hal anta ala al-ahd alladhi faraqtani. We are saying that, are you still upon the oath? Are you still upon that? They're going to ask you now. That oath was taken from us when we were in that zar, we were put into the loins, and that oath is amazing. What was that oath? You know, Alastu bi Rabbikum, am I not your Lord? Our tafasir say that there were 3 questions that were asked. Alastu bi Rabbikum, am I not your Lord? Wa Muhammadan Rasuli, and is he not my messenger? Wa Aliyun Amirul Mu'mineen, wa Waliyullah, and is Ali not the Amir of Mu'mineen and the Waliyullah? We took the oath. We came into the world. When we came in out of the womb, we were held by somebody who went to our ear and said Allahu Akbar 4 times and reminded us of the first oath. Then said Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah, reminded us of the second oath. Ashhadu anna Aliyun Waliyullah, reminded us. And then we continue that throughout our life. And then when we go into the grave, now you're being put into another womb. And as you're going into that womb, هل أنت على العهد الذي فرقتنا عليه من شهادتي أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا. And then we give the testimonies again in this womb. And like you came from your mother's womb into this world, and it seemed very magnificent to you, you will come from the womb of the grave into the next world. And in that next world, then we will just answer for what we did. Did we believe or did we not believe? And then you will meet everyone again. And so this time and this loss is temporary. And it only allows us to appreciate love more. Because he created us in communities and families and tribes, because he is the only one who can exist alone. We as human beings need each other. And he said, and the holiest messenger said, Ma deena illa hub. What is the deen except for hub? It is nothing but love. And he gave us the ability to love, and he gave us freedom to love whom we would. La ikraha fid deen. Because the deen is hub, you cannot force hub, and you cannot force deen. And he presented us with a way to him. And this way to him that he presented us with was the prophets and the Masumeen. And when they came to us, they only wanted to guide us and take us back to him. But we saw that people did not love those who deserve to be loved. Those who were selfless. Imam Hussein, selfless existence. Nothing for himself. Everything for all others, everything for humanity, everything for the followers of his grandfather, everything for the sake of Allah. And he sacrificed everything. It is said that he sacrificed everything he had in a way that one of our imams said that, you know, when Imam Hussein took everything and sacrificed everything he had for Allah, that is when he said that, oh my Lord, he who has found you has lost nothing. And he who has lost you has found nothing, has gained nothing. And in that sacrifice, would it not be justice that Allah would give everything for Imam Hussein then? Because Imam Hussein gave everything to him. And when he sacrificed everything, they did not stop. They did not stop until they had his head on a pike. It was not enough to kill all his companions. It was not enough to kill his brothers. It was not enough to kill his children. It is said that, Allahu Akbar, you know, when our loved ones are going, it's not easy. And those last moments are very difficult. But when anybody is going through the trials of whatever difficulties you're having, always remember Hussein. Because whatever difficulties we have, no matter how large they seem, when it comes to Imam Hussein, they become very small. And it becomes very easy to bear very, very large burdens when one thinks about Imam Hussein. And who has not cried when their father was leaving and been in great difficulty and distress in those last breaths? It's a very difficult time. But look upon the son whose name is Sayyid al-Sajjad, and he's looking upon his father Hussein. Baba, he said, Kya aap mere Baba Hussein hai? Kya aap mere Baba Hussein hai? पहचाना क्यों नहीं सैयद सज्जाद ने? क्योंकि एक तरफ जो है हमेशा अब्बास होते थे, दूसरी तरफ अली अकबर होते थे. यही पूछा सैयद सज्जाद ने अपने बाबा को खैमे में देख के, जब कहा कि बाकर बेटा मेरा असा लाना, जरा मुझे खड़ा कर देना. कभी ऐसा हुआ नहीं कि बाबा आए हो हमें खड़ा ना हुआ हूँ. کہا کہ لرزتے ہوئے کھڑے ہوئے کانپتے ہوئے کہا کہ بابا این علی اکبر این عباس، کہ آپ ہی میرے بابا ہیں۔ اس وقت امام حسین نے اپنے سجاد کو گلے سے لگا کے کہا تھا کہ اے میرے سجاد، بس آخری خدا فصیح ہے آپ سے، بابا یہ آپ کے ریش مبارک پر خون کس کا ملا ہے بابا؟ کہا کہ کہاں گئے؟ کہا کہ نہ علی اکبر رہا، نہ عباس رہا، نہ قاسم و اون و محمد رہے، کہا یہ جو میری ریش مبارک پر خون ہے یہ ہم شہزادہ علی اصغر کا ہے۔ کہا کہ اللہ اکبر، سجاد میرے شیعوں کو جا کے بتا دینا، شیعتی ما ان شربتم ما ان عذب فاذکرونی او سمعتم بی غریب او شہید فاندبونی فانا سبت الذی بغیر جرم قتلونی وَأَذُوقُوا سِحْمَ الْبَغِيِّ عِوَضَ الْمَاءِ الْمَعِينِ۔ اے میرے سجاد جا کے میرے شیعوں سے کہہ دینا۔ کس اپنائیت سے امام نے اپنے شیعوں کو پکارا ہے؟ اپنے شیعہ کہا ہے، یہ نہیں کہا علی کے شیعہ، سیدہ کے شیعہ، رسول کے شیعہ، حسن کے شیعہ، کہا جا کے میرے شیعوں سے کہہ دینا کہ جب بھی ٹھنڈا پانی پیو، whenever you have one drop of water just remember me او حسین۔ اور کہا کہ کیونکہ میں وہ نواسا ہوں نبی کا جس کو بغیر کسی جرم کے مارا گیا، I am the one who was martyred and was without fault. I had done nothing wrong to them to deserve this. اور کہا کہ میں نے اپنے بچے کے لیے، طفل کے لیے تھوڑا سا پانی مانگا تھا۔ عجیب بات ہے، لیتکم فی یوم عاشورا، لیتکم، امام حسین in Karbala after laying down 71 bodies being injured from head to toe is saying لیتکم, I wish you were in Karbala. This is the Imam, the Hujjat of Allah. When he is saying this, I don't know how many faces he is looking at. I don't know how many faces Hussein saw at that moment, how many Zair, how many Azadar, how many Matami, how many lovers of Hussein. He who was standing alone in the plains of Karbala must have looked upon all the faces of those who would come, who would love him, and said, Laytukum fi yawmin ashura, because when one is alone, rola rola ke mara gaya. رولا رولا کے مارا گیا۔ جب رولا کے مارا جاتا ہے نا تو انسان اپنوں کو یاد کرتا ہے، اور جتنا دکھ ہوتا ہے اتنا اپنوں کو یاد کرتا ہے۔ اور حسین نے اپنے شیعوں کو کب یاد کیا؟ جب لاشا علی اصغر ہاتھوں پہ اٹھایا ہوا تھا، اس وقت حسین نے اپنے شیعوں کو یاد کیا۔ آپ کہتے ہوں گے ہر شب جمعہ میں، اور کہا کریں، ضرور کہا کریں، کیونکہ 14 صدیہ پہلے آپ کا حسین کہہ گیا مولا۔ کیا کہا؟ لیتکم فی یوم عاشورا۔ آپ بھی تو کہتے ہیں نا، لیتنی کنت معکم فافوز معکم، کاش کہ میں آپ کے ساتھ ہوتا۔ یقین جانیے آپ کے کہنے سے پہلے مولا نے کہہ دیا، کاش کہ تم میرے ساتھ ہوتے، جمیعاً تنظرونی، تم سب دیکھتے، کیف استسقا لطفلی، کیسے میں نے اپنے بچے کے لیے ایک قطرہ پانی مانگا تھا۔ How I asked for a drop of water you would have seen, but instead of giving a drop of water they gave an arrow, a poisoned arrow to my Ali Asghar. کاش کہ تم ہوتے، تم دیکھتے۔ مانگا پانی تھا، ظلم کا تیر چلایا انہوں نے، ظلم کا تیر۔ اللہ اکبر۔ کون؟ حسین۔ ہاں، کہا جاتا ہے جب بہنیں بھائی سے رخصت ہوتی ہیں بڑا مشکل وقت ہوتا ہے عزاداروں، لیکن ایک بہن تھی جو دیکھ رہی تھی بھائی اپنے کرتے کو پھاڑتے جا رہا ہے کہ شاید یہ کرتا چھوڑ دے میرے جسد پر عزاداروں۔ یہ آخری رخصت ہی تھی جس میں حسین کبھی اپنی بہن کے ماتھے کو چوم کے کہتے ہیں یہ ماں کی وصیت ہے، کبھی بہن بھائی کے گلو پہ چوم کے کہتی ہے یہ بابا کی وصیت ہے عزادار۔ اللہ اکبر۔ جب اپنا جا رہا ہوتا ہے تو ہاں کوشش ہوتی ہے سارا خاندان جمع ہو جائے۔ عزاداروں، جو زندہ بچا تھا خیمے میں تھا جس وقت حسین ایک ایک چہرے کو دیکھ کے روتے جاتے تھے۔ کبھی اپنی بہن علی کی بڑی بیٹی کو دیکھ کے، چادر کو دیکھ کے روتے تھے، کبھی شہزادی سکینہ کی بالیوں کو دیکھ کے روتے تھے،
کبھی چھوٹے چھوٹے بچے جنہوں نے گھوڑوں کی ٹانپوں کے تلے آنا تھا انہیں دیکھ کے روتے تھے. عزادارو حسین کی تنہائی کہا آخری وقت میں لاکھوں میں گھرے ہوئے تھے, لاکھوں میں گھرے ہوئے تھے. عزادارو ہر طرف سے تیر آ رہا تھا. انسان یہی چاہتا ہے کوئی اپنا ہو, لیکن چاروں طرف حسین کے خون کے پیاسے تھے. عزاداروں صرف دشمن تھے. اس لیے ایک بہن تھی جو ایک ٹلے پہ چلی گئی تھی اور وہاں سے بس اپنے بھائی کو پکار کے کہہ رہی تھی کہ کاش میرے بھائی کو ایک قطرہ پانی تو پلا دو. ایک قطرہ پانی. اس بہن سے بھائی کی پیاس برداشت نہ ہوتی تھی. عزاداروں لیکن ہوا کیا کہ کہا کہ پشت سے وار کرتے جاتے تھے حسین کے. عزاداروں کند تیغ تھی, 13 ضربیں لگیں. پوچھا 13 ضربیں کیوں لگی تمہیں ظالمو؟ کسی نے کہا کہ گلا بہت خشک ہو گیا تھا حسین کا. حسین 3 دن کے نہیں 10 دن کے پیاسے تھے. کسی نے کہا کہ کند تیغ تھی اس لیے بہت وقت لگا. کسی نے کہا کہ نہیں یہ دونوں باتیں نہیں تھیں. جہاں حسین زین سے زمین پہ آئے, جہاں پہلا ہی ضرب لگی ہے اور جہاں 13ویں ضرب لگی ہے, عزاداروں حسین کے پیاروں, اس میں کہا جاتا ہے 70 قدم کا فاصلہ تھا. یہ حسین نے اپنے کونیوں پہ اپنے خیام کی دفاع کے لیے طے کیے تھے. جب انہوں نے چاہا کہ حسین کو مارا جائے تو کہا کہ آخری ضربوں کے لیے اس ملعون نے ایسے لات ماری عزاداروں کہ کہا کہ حسین سجدے کے عالم سے پشت پہ آئے. پشت پہ حسین کا آنا آسان نہیں تھا. ہزاروں تیر لگے تھے پشت میں عزاداروں کہ جب پشت پہ آئے تو وہ سینے سے نکلے ہیں. اور کہا جاتا ہے کہ آخری لمحوں کو ہمارے امام نے اس طرح سے پیش کیا کہ سلام ہو اس سینہ اقدس پر جس پہ وہ ملعون سوار ہوا تھا. سلام upon that holy chest upon which sat Shimr the ملعون. کہا سلام ہو اس خشک گلے پر جس پر ضرب چلی. کہا سلام upon that thirsty throat upon which 13 times the sword struck. سلام ہو ان نیم کھلی آنکھوں پر جو آخری وقت میں اپنے خیموں کو تک رہی تھی. اور امام العصر سے سلام upon Hussein's half open eyes that in his last breaths were looking upon his sister and looking upon the tents of the holy household. فَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا يَنْقَلِبُونَ أَلَا لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. عزاداروں بار الہا اس کا ثواب مرحوم کو پہنچا, ان کی قبر کو منور فرما. We do not consider our past as deceased. Marhum means the one upon whom is the mercy of Allah. The mercy of Allah is life itself. So when we say marhum, we are talking about someone who is in a far better place than us. بار الہا ان کی قبر کو یہاں کے ذکر سے, ایصال سے, مصائب سے, گریہ سے منور فرما. ان کی قبر کو زیارت معصومین سے منور فرما. بار الہا ان کی آل کو, اولاد کو, اہل خانہ کو صبر جمیل عطا فرما. بار الہا ان کو توفیق عطا فرما کہ یہ اسی طرح سے اپنے مرحوم کے لیے ایصال کرتے رہیں. Whatever we do as isal is not just an action, there is a transference from that which is physical to the metaphysical. If you give one cloth to someone who needs clothing, your deceased will receive clothing from Jannah. That is what was given to Imam Hassan and Hussein upon that Eid day. If you give food to the hungry, your deceased, the one who has gone, even deceased is not the right word. The Quran says, do not call them mata. Do not say they are dead. Because he who leaves with the love of the Ahlul Bayt is shaheed. And do not call the shaheed dead. They are living, they are receiving sustenance with their Lord, the Quran says. I cannot imagine what reaches a mu'min or mu'mina, a marhum, marhuma, when you do the Majlis of Imam Hussein. I cannot even fathom the sawab that reaches them. So may he increase in the tawfiqat of the Ahl Khana of the marhum, and
May He increase in all of our ability to bear these losses. May increase in our iman, in our faith, in our sustenance, in our health, and in our love for the Ahlul Bayt, in our intizar of the Imam, in our azadari of Imam Hussain. آپ سب سے گزارش ہے اور آخر میں ہمارے امام کی ظہور میں تعجیل فرما، ہمارے ان کی جان نثاروں میں شمار فرما۔ میر عباس علی ابن میر رضا علی کے لیے ایک دفعہ سورۃ الفاتحہ، 3 دفعہ سورۃ الاخلاص اور ایک دفعہ سورۃ القدر کی تلاوت فرما دے۔ سورۃ الفاتحہ۔ بسم اللہ۔
توجہ زیارت۔ رسول اللہ السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔ السلام علیکم یا رسول اللہ یا محمد المصطفیٰ، السلام علیکم یا خدیجۃ الکبریٰ، السلام علیکم یا امیر المؤمنین علی ابن ابی طالب، السلام علیکم یا فاطمۃ الزہرا سیدۃ النساء العالمین، السلام علیکم یا حسن ابن علی المجتبی، السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ وعلی الارواح التي حلت بفنائک، علیکم منی سلام اللہ ابدا ما بقیت وبقی اللیل والنہار ولا جعل اللہ آخر العہد منی لزیارتکم۔ السلام علی الحسین وعلی علی ابن الحسین وعلی اولاد الحسین وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبا الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا زينب بنت علي ورقية بنت حسين يا أم الكلثوم، السلام عليك يا علي بن حسين زين العابدين ومحمد الباقر وجعفر الصادق وموسى الكاظم وعلي الرضا ومحمد تقي وعلي النقي والحسن بن علي العسكري. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.